Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be looking at variables. Alright, so what is a variable? Well, a variable, if you think in terms of like the technical definition, a variable is a named location in memory. Okay, so you know a computer has memory, alright, RAM, whatever program you write, whatever commands you give, it first goes into the memory and then it gets executed by the CPU. So now a variable is a location. Alright, it's a location that is named by you. So for example, if I have a variable, I call it x and I assign it 9. Alright, so now I've declared in C++ a variable, a location in memory containing 9. Alright, and I named that memory block that contains the 9, I've named it x. So now whenever I call x, right, I'm going to be referring to that memory location which contains the 9. So if I say cout x means that I have to output or print x to the console, meaning whatever is inside x, that memory location, right, I'm gonna have to cout whatever is inside that memory location called x. Then if I say x plus 1, then that means that it's gonna go to that memory location called x and it's going to see whatever is inside of it, which is a 9, and then it's gonna add 1 to it. So now so now x will not be 9 anymore, it will be 10. That's what the variable is. Now variables come in different like forms. For example, if I said x equal to 9, this is a 9, alright, but then if I say x is equal to 9 point some number, these two are different. Okay, these both are different in C++. Alright, so this is what we call a data type, because x holds some data. Alright, this also holds some data, but they're both different. They're not the same. Alright, this contains a decimal, this contains non-decimal. So stuff that isn't a decimal, alright, the data type for that is called integer. Alright, and stuff that is decimal numbers, alright, are called float. Alright, that's the thing, that's the difference. And then of course you also get double. Alright, you get double. So if I have y is equal to 9.0, it can be float or it can be double. The difference between float and double is that double is more precise than float. So if I were to say 3.9.3333333333 in float, it's gonna say perhaps 9.333 and maybe a certain number. Alright, but in a double it's going to display the entire number. Alright, in a float, however, it's gonna round off. It's gonna round off, I don't know where it's gonna round off, but it's not gonna display the entire, the precise number. So that's the difference. Double is more precise, float isn't that precise. So if you want to do some scientific computing which requires like a lot of numbers, then you use double instead of float. That's the difference. But usually we use float because we don't do some heavy computing like that. Next we have string. String is like string. What a string is text. So if I were to say hello, right, this would be considered a string, because string is more than one character. So if I say he, right, it has 2 characters, it's a string. However, if it was 1 character, then the variable would be not string. Alright, it wouldn't be string, it would be character. That's what it is. Alright, character. Now in C++, by the way, not in other languages, this is unique to C++, is that when you have a character, alright, a character, then you don't put double, you put single quotes. Just remember that, because that's something I also forget many times being a Python developer. Alright, so yeah, coming from a high level language into a low level language, this is something that you definitely forget. This must be single, not double, inverted commas. Alright, then we get something called true, alright, and something called false. This data type is called boolean. Boolean meaning true or false. That's what it means. So these are the different types of data types that you get in C++, and there's also more, of course, but we primarily deal with these 5. So that's what it is. Now the next thing to note is that when you're working with variables in C++, then you're going to, unlike, this isn't something that's found in the other languages like Python. Python, you don't need to do this, but if you are in C++, then you have to tell C++ that this variable that I'm declaring called x is actually an integer. That's why you put the int, to denote that it's an integer. That's why we have int main as well, because it's an integer data type that's being returned from main. Same with y. You make this a float. Alright, you make it a float to tell C++ that this y is a float variable. Same with string. You put a string. Okay, you put string z, otherwise it wouldn't read. And then you put character. Alright, so the way the difference is, you don't put character here, you put car. Alright, char, whatever you want to call it. Alright, you like concatenate, you abbreviate it. Not concatenate, sorry. Truncate. You truncate. Alright, so character would be car, char. Alright, and b would be bool. Alright, boolean, to denote boolean. So now that's the thing. Now if I were to actually see out all of these, right, I'm gonna see out, say for example, a, which is an h. So if I were to come and see out h, then I save it and I run the program. Oh yeah, we forgot to, by the way, put the semicolons at the end, like that. Now let's run. So you can see it gives us an nh. Alright, but that's because it's character. Alright, however, if I were to put double commas right here, alright, double like that, and if I run it in that case, then it's gonna give me an error because it's double. Double is used for string in C++. Now if I were to display z, okay, because by the way, look, this z symbolizes he, meaning he. Alright, it's a string, so z is gonna now display he. Now that's a variable. Okay, he. Now we get float. If we want to display float, then we can say y 9. Okay, it doesn't say 9.0. However, if I were to maybe add some operations in here, maybe 9.1, and then if I display, then you can see it displays 9.1. How if I display x, it's going to display 9, as you can see there. However, if I were to say 9.1 there, then it's going to give me an, okay, it still works, but what it does is it like floor, it like takes the floor of 9.1, meaning it rounds it down. So if I were to say 9.9, and then if I did an int, then it's still gonna give me a 9, it's not gonna give me a 10. Okay, because we converted it into int. However, if you were to do it in float and then run it, then it gives me a 9.9. Okay, and then if we give bool, alright, bool, so this is the difference, by the way. See what's gonna happen. It gives me a 1, because 1 in binary represents true. However, if I were to say this false, it gives me a 0, because 0 in binary means false. So that's what it is all about. That's what variables are. Now if I were to say see out for me a plus y, meaning x float plus integer, let's see what happens. it gives me 18.1 because it says 9. It rounds it down first and then it adds the 9. It's 18 and then it adds the 0.1. Okay, it ignores the whatever's after the comma. So that's what it is. That's basically data types and variables in C++, and I hope you enjoyed.